The search for the meaning of life is a question that has accompanied humanity since its beginnings. Every civilization, every culture, and every religion has sought to understand the purpose of existence, the values that should guide our choices, and the reason for our being here. In the light of faith, this search acquires a deeper dimension, for it is not limited to reason or earthly experience but opens itself to transcendence, to hope, and to the certainty that our lives are part of a greater plan, guided by a Creator who knows us intimately and loves us unconditionally. When we look at our existence from the perspective of faith, we realize that each challenge, each joy, and each loss are not mere isolated events but integral parts of a journey that aims not only at personal growth but also at the strengthening of the spirit and the approach to the divine. If this is your first time here, subscribe now to receive content that uplifts the spirit and invites deep reflection. Faith, in its essence, offers a lens through which we can interpret the world and our experiences with meaning and purpose. Unlike vague hope, faith provides a solid structure that sustains life even in the face of the most intense adversities. It is through it that we find the courage to face unexpected losses, the patience to deal with daily difficulties, and the compassion to understand others. For example, many studies in religious psychology show that individuals with a structured faith demonstrate greater emotional resilience, less anxiety, and a clearer sense of purpose in their lives. This happens because faith offers answers to the deepest questions that human reason alone often cannot solve. Why do we exist? What is the purpose of suffering? Where do we go after death? The search for the meaning of life does not imply the absence of doubt or uncertainty. On the contrary, recognizing our limitation and fragility before the mystery of existence is the starting point for mature faith. The very act of questioning, reflecting, and seeking answers is an exercise that strengthens the spirit, as long as it is carried out with humility and openness to divine guidance. Faith invites us to understand that we do not need to comprehend everything to live fully. Often, meaning is revealed through the practice of love, dedication to others, and obedience to the spiritual principles that connect us to the Creator. Furthermore, faith reminds us of the importance of the present moment. Amid anxieties about the future or regrets about the past, it offers us the opportunity to find meaning in today's actions and choices. Each act of kindness, each word of encouragement, and each moment of contemplative silence are steps that build a life rich in purpose. When we look at life as a journey guided by faith, we realize that even challenges can be transformed into opportunities for spiritual growth. A practical example is the story of individuals who have faced serious illnesses or significant losses but, supported by their faith, discovered new ways to help others, strengthen their family bonds, and live with more gratitude and presence. The communal dimension of faith also plays an essential role in the search for the meaning of life. The human being is, by nature, a social being, and our existence acquires greater depth when we share experiences, values, and beliefs with others. Praying together, offering mutual support in difficult moments, and celebrating collective achievements strengthen not only individual faith, but also the social fabric. Faith communities provide emotional and spiritual support, help keep hope alive, and promote an environment where the meaning of life is cultivated and recognized in a shared way. It is interesting to note that, contrary to what many think, living in the light of faith does not mean giving up reason or critical thinking. On the contrary, authentic faith invites deep reflection, constructive questioning, and a continuous search for understanding. Philosophers, theologians, and spiritual leaders throughout history have emphasized that faith and reason are complementary. While reason guides us in understanding the material world, faith connects us to the immaterial, the eternal, the transcendent. Through this union, we can develop a coherent, balanced, and fulfilling life in which our earthly actions reflect profound spiritual values. The meaning of life, when illuminated by faith, is also closely linked to ethical and moral responsibility. Our choices affect not only ourselves but also reverberate in the lives of others and in the world around us. Faith teaches us to live with integrity, to act justly, and to love without reservation, recognizing that every action carries spiritual and human consequences. For example, small acts of compassion in daily life, helping a neighbor, comforting a friend, offering time and attention to someone in need, are concrete manifestations of a life full of purpose. Thus, the meaning of life is revealed not only in great achievements but, above all, in the coherence between our inner values and our outward actions. The experience of personal spirituality is also fundamental to understanding the meaning of life. Moments of contemplation, meditation, and individual prayer allow for an intimate connection with the divine, strengthen spiritual self-esteem, and help clarify our deepest goals and desires. By setting aside time to reflect on our existence, our choices, and the impact of our actions, we align our lives with what truly matters, finding meaning even amid the complexities and adversities of everyday life. Another central aspect of faith is hope. Unlike a simple wish, hope grounded in faith is firm and resilient, capable of sustaining human beings even in the most challenging situations. It reminds us that, regardless of present difficulties, there is a greater purpose being fulfilled and that our lives are part of a divine plan. Hope strengthens courage, promotes perseverance, and inspires us to live meaningfully, knowing that every effort, every act of love, and every challenge faced contributes to our spiritual growth and to the good of those around us. Faith also offers a prism through which we can interpret suffering. Instead of viewing difficulties merely as tragedies or injustices, faith teaches us that they can be sources of learning, resilience, and spiritual growth. Many historical and contemporary accounts show that people who have faced great losses or adversities found, through faith, a meaning that transcends suffering, transforming painful experiences into opportunities for service, compassion, and inner strength. Understanding the meaning of life in the light of faith also leads us to reflect on eternity and the ultimate purpose of our existence. Earthly life, with its joys and challenges, is only a part of a greater journey that extends beyond what we can perceive. This perspective encourages us to invest in lasting values, love, justice, kindness, and faith, that do not fade with time but have an eternal impact. Thus, our daily choices and actions gain renewed importance, for every act of love, every gesture of compassion, and every ethical decision contributes to a spiritual legacy that transcends material life. As we continue to reflect on the meaning of life in the light of faith, it is essential to consider the dimension of service and love for others as central pillars of human existence. Living with purpose is not limited to personal achievement or the pursuit of comfort, but involves the willingness to contribute to the well-being of others and to the building of a more just and compassionate world. Faith teaches us that the true meaning of life is manifested in the generous giving of ourselves, in caring for others, and in the practice of altruism, even when such actions are neither recognized nor externally rewarded. Thus, every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, and every act of service become concrete expressions of a greater purpose that transcends the individual and connects to eternity. Beyond service, faith provides a unique perspective on time and the personal history of each individual. Our lives, with their twists and turns, are not random fragments of experience, but interconnected chapters of a narrative guided by the Creator. Understanding this allows us to deal with regrets, frustrations, and challenges more calmly, for we realize that each event has a purpose, often beyond our immediate understanding. By cultivating this perspective, we can transform difficulties into opportunities for growth, overcoming, and spiritual strengthening. Another essential element for a meaningful life is the practice of gratitude. Faith invites us to recognize the blessings present in our lives, even in the face of difficulties. Psychological and spiritual studies indicate that people who cultivate regular gratitude show greater well-being, emotional resilience, and a clearer sense of purpose. Gratitude helps us perceive God's presence in every detail of daily life, in relationships, in nature, in small achievements, and in daily lessons. Through this constant awareness, life becomes richer and more meaningful, and the spirit finds peace even in times of uncertainty. Faith also teaches us to embrace humility as a path to the full meaning of existence. Recognizing our limitations, accepting that we do not hold all the answers, and understanding that we are part of something greater allows us to live with authenticity and integrity. Humility frees us from the arrogance of believing we are solely responsible for our destiny and connects us to the reality that life is a gift to be lived with responsibility, reverence, and love. Humility, therefore, is not a sign of weakness but a virtue that opens doors to wisdom, spiritual growth, and inner peace. The contemplation of nature and creation is another path through which faith illuminates the meaning of life. Observing the complexity and harmony of the natural world leads us to reflect on the greatness of the Creator and our role within this magnificent work. Each sunrise, each blooming flower, and each star in the sky remind us of the delicacy and purpose present in life. This connection with nature not only inspires awe but also calls us to the responsibility of caring for the world and for all living beings that inhabit it, recognizing that our existence is interconnected with everything around us. The meaning of life in the light of faith is also revealed in the capacity to forgive. Forgiveness is a transformative force capable of freeing the heart from the weight of hurt and resentment. Faith teaches us that by forgiving, we make room for healing, growth, and spiritual renewal. Forgiving does not mean forgetting or minimizing the harm suffered, but recognizing that love, compassion, and mercy possess greater power than any offense. Historical and contemporary examples demonstrate that individuals who genuinely forgive experience greater inner peace, healthier relationships, and a life more aligned with divine purpose. Another essential dimension of faith is the ability to find joy and fulfillment even in simple, everyday circumstances. Life does not need to be marked by great deeds or grand achievements to have meaning. A shared smile, a moment of prayer, a sincere conversation, or a gesture of solidarity already carry deep significance when done with love and mindful attention. Faith reminds us that the value of life is not measured by the quantity of experiences or possessions, but by the quality of presence, love, and commitment to what is eternal. Reflecting on the meaning of life in the light of faith also leads us to seek balance between action and contemplation. While service, compassion, and active love connect us with the world, moments of silence, prayer, and introspection connect us with God. This balance is essential for a full life, as it prevents us from becoming lost in routine, selfishness, or anxiety, and allows us to live with clarity, purpose, and serenity. By integrating action and contemplation, we build a coherent existence in which every attitude and every thought reflect profound spiritual values. Faith also invites us to recognize the importance of hope in the face of life's finitude. The awareness that our time on earth is limited motivates us to live meaningfully, cultivating virtues, relationships, and works that leave a lasting legacy. This perspective transforms the fleeting nature of life into an incentive to invest in what truly matters, to value every moment, and to act in ways that contribute to collective good and to both personal and shared spiritual growth. Finally, understanding the meaning of life in the light of faith leads us to realize that existence is not a solitary path. We are part of a greater community, woven into a network of relationships, experiences, and lessons that transcend our immediate understanding. Each interaction, each challenge, and each achievement are part of a divine plan, and recognizing this offers us comfort, purpose, and motivation to live fully. Faith reminds us that, even amid uncertainties and difficulties, our lives hold value, meaning, and an eternal purpose. Therefore, to live meaningfully in the light of faith is to choose hope over despair, compassion over indifference, and love over selfishness. It is to recognize that every experience, every challenge, and every moment of joy or sorrow contributes to our spiritual evolution and to the positive impact we can have on the world. It is to realize that life is a divine gift and that our greatest purpose is to live according to the principles that connect us with the Creator and with others. By embracing this perspective, we find inspiration, strength, and serenity, and we are able to walk with confidence, knowing that every step taken, every choice made, and every act of love has eternal value and contributes to the fulfillment of the deepest meaning of our existence. Thus, reflection on the meaning of life in the light of faith does not offer immediate answers or magical formulas, but opens a path of understanding, serenity, and purpose. It invites us to live with mindfulness, gratitude, humility, and hope, recognizing that our lives are part of a greater plan and that every action, thought, and feeling hold importance and meaning. To live with faith, therefore, is to live with purpose, conscious that our choices shape not only our present but also the eternity of our spirit and the impact we leave on the world.